Hi, I'm Nelson, and this is the Sir Nelson English School. In this school, we enhance your reading, writing, speaking, listening, and IELTS skills. In this video, we are going to look at the complex sentences. What are complex sentences? How do we form them? Complex sentences have a dependent clause and an independent clause or clauses. The two clauses are joined together by a subordinating conjunction. What are these subordinating conjunctions? We are going to look at them shortly. For example, when he went home, he cooked food. In this sentence, when is a subordinating conjunction, he is a subject, went is a verb. In the other clause, he is a subject, cooked is a verb. I want you to see that this sentence has two verbs, two subjects, but there is a subordinating conjunction. The part of the sentence that follows the conjunction is what we call the dependent clause. It is dependent because it doesn't have a complete thought. For it to have a complete thought, we have to add the independent clause. He cooked food. It has a complete thought. Sentences like these are what we call complex sentences. When you begin with a subordinating conjunction, you must use a comma after the dependent clause. If you put the subordinating conjunction in the middle, you don't need a comma. For example, he cooked food when he went home. To help you remember the subordinating conjunction, we are going to use the acronym AWUBIS. AWUBIS is an acronym to help you remember the most commonly used subordinating conjunctions. Much like FUNBOYS is the acronym for coordinating conjunctions, AWUBIS is the acronym for the most commonly used subordinating conjunctions. This is the AWUBIS: after, although, as, when, while, until, because, before, if, and since. Subordinating conjunction plus dependent clause plus comma plus independent clause, you get the complex sentence. Subordinating conjunction plus independent clause plus dependent clause, you get the complex sentence. A dependent clause is a group of words that contains a noun and a verb, but does not contain a complete thought. It depends on the rest of the sentence to make sense. I've already explained that. Examples of dependent clauses are these. These are dependent clauses because they have a subordinating conjunction. They don't have a complete thought. You have to add an independent sentence for them to have meaning. None of the above clauses make sense on their own because they don't express a complete thought. They depend on something else added after the comma to make sense. The sentences below are examples of complex sentences. All these are complex sentences because they have a dependent clause and independent clause. Now let's look at the AWUBIS one by one. We shall begin with after. After is used to show the relationship of time. For example, after he came, it rained. Number two, after he comes, it will rain. After he comes, it always rains. There is a difference in the tenses. If you use the past simple, even the other side past simple. Present simple, future. We also have present simple, present simple. practice, practice. Although shows a contrast. For example, he was sick, he played football. Sick people are not supposed to play football, but if it happens, we use although. Follow the example and you try the exercise. Try the exercise for practice purposes. We go to as. As shows the relationship of time. As I was teaching, he shouted. It happened as I was teaching, two things were happening at the same time. Follow the example and you try. They arrived as he was, for example, watch. They arrived as he was writing. The activity which is taking a long time takes the past continuous. Then the other short activity takes the past simple. As he was arriving, they arrived. The writing. Practice. The long activity takes the past continuous. The short activity takes the past simple. That's the long activity. The short activity. Make the sentences. Use a comma or no comma, 5 and 6. The long activity. The short activity. The long activity. The short activity. The long activity. The short activity. Long activity. Short. As also has another meaning, which means because. Peter went to bed as he was tired, because he was tired. Follow the example and you try this. Complete the sentences for more practice. When used to show the relationship of time. When shows one event happened slightly after another. Follow the example and you try this. When can also show a habit or universal truth. For example, when water reaches 100 degrees, it always boils. Follow the example and you try this. While. Follow the example. Remember, after while, we use the past continuous. Then the other independent clause takes the past simple. Use while to connect the sentences. Change the sentences from when to while. Follow the example and you try this. When. This is while. Change the sentences using when. Join the two statements using when or while. All this is aimed at giving you enough practice until before eating food, he was hungry. He was hungry until he ate food. Follow the example and then you join this. Because used to show the reason. Peter went to bed because he was tired, because of tiredness, because of being tired. Follow the example and you try this. Try this. Try this. Try this. All this to help you, give you enough practice. Before, use relationship of time. Copy the example and you try this. If a condition. If is used to show a condition. The conditions, we have the zero. If zero. If zero. If sentences have two parts, the if clause and the main clause. In if zero, we use the present simple in if clause, and we also use the present simple in the main clause. If water reaches 100 degrees, it boils. We have present simple this side, even the other side. If I eat peanuts, I am sick. Some more examples. If people eat too much, they get fat. If you touch a fire, you get burned. Present simple, present simple. This is called if zero. Make the zero condition for this. Follow the example and you try this. Try the exercise.